Okay, today we are playing a game on Numbani. The average SR of this game was 2,302, and we will be playing most of the game as Winston and roughly a third of the game as D.Va. And our current team composition is Winston, Zarya, Reaper, Hanzo, Zenyatta, and Mercy. I don't actually have an issue with the team comp. Most people will look at the Hanzo and go, oh, Hanzo, typical. I don't actually care if somebody picks Hanzo as long as they know how to play Hanzo, so I don't actually have an issue with the team comp. I do care that we have a Reaper along with the Hanzo because they're pretty likely to pick Winston if they see a Hanzo, you know, so it's pretty important. But I don't actually have an issue with the team comp. In the accompanying email, it says a few things, like a few paragraphs, but I'm just going to read to you the important part. Could you speak a little on when/where to leap, i.e. when to leap onto the backlines, into the middle, onto the frontliners, what to look for in making those decisions, and how to use bubble? The how to use bubble part is, in reference to a part earlier in the email that was basically like, if you use it too early, you leave it behind. If you use it too late, you might get blown up as you're going in. I'll answer that question first, because that's the much easier question to answer. Basically, I just always use it when Winston's doing the I've landed on the ground animation, because it's more important that the bubble is with you than anything else, because you do need it to fight, usually. Like, 9 times out of 10, you need it to actually fight the person you're jumping onto. And if you got blown up before you could put the bubble down, the issue is probably not that you put the bubble down too late, it's probably that that wasn't actually a safe time to jump in. So that's that question. The other part, when/where to jump on XYZ. Basically, you're always trying to look to jump onto the back line, sometimes into the middle, almost never onto the frontliners. If you're jumping into the middle, it's usually because you have a specific plan, which is typically, I'm communicating with my Zarya, and she's gonna bubble me as I jump into them, and then that's gonna make it really hard for them to actually kill me, because, you know, CC immunity, they have to get through that bubble, I've got my bubble, it's very hard. Usually you're getting healed by like an Ana or a Zenyatta, it's generally really hard to kill the Winston at that point. You usually want to do that on a map like, Anubis is a really good example, because you know how it is in Anubis, you come up to the archway, up on the little pedestal, you see the entire enemy team. If you can communicate with your Zarya that you're gonna jump in, and she bubbles you as you jump in, you just jump into the middle of them on that platform, and you usually can pressure a couple of them to jump off, because they can very rarely actually kill you that quickly through the bubbles. So that's usually when you're looking to do that. Another reason you're looking to jump into the middle is because you've been nano boosted, so you're really just looking to jump onto whoever, and you're usually going to end up jumping into the middle, or the backline if you can get to them, but if you can't get to the backline super quickly, you're just going to jump into the middle if you get nano boosted. So that's usually why you're jumping into the middle. Another reason is, Jesus Christ. It's usually because your team is initiating a fight with ultimates, and you're just getting in there to, like, start fighting, basically. Like, they've been Earth Shattered, Graviton, soldiers using Tac Visor. You're just jumping in to start and take part in the fight at that point. Doesn't really matter where you're jumping so much, you'll usually just jump into the middle. So the crux of the email earlier was basically, it's really hard to jump on people if their team is clumped up or they're actually protecting their backline. What should I do? Well, if you feel like you can't jump onto the backline because it's not safe to do so, or you're going to get killed or they're actually protecting their backline, just don't jump onto the backline, because it's more important that you're alive, really, than anything else. So if you don't feel like you can jump in, just don't. Just hang around and, like, protect your backline, because somebody's probably trying to kill your backline. Just sort of poke at the front line with your other tank, you know, that kind of thing. And just wait for an opportunity. Like, if you see somebody start straying off from the pack, then you can go on that person. If your team is, if you're gonna initiate a fight, then you can just sort of jump in ahead of time, because you know that your team is gonna come in with you, or they're gonna start the fight then. Or, if you have Primal Rage, you can just kind of jump onto the backline whenever, because you have this 1000 HP barrier that's gonna help you, and it's very hard to kill the Winston quickly through Primal Rage. If you're gonna do that, though, if you're gonna jump onto the backline thinking to yourself, I have Primal Rage, so I can jump on them, make sure your team actually has some ultimates first, because the point of doing this kind of thing is you know you're gonna end up using Primal Rage, so, and that's gonna draw a fucking lot of aggro from the enemy team. The entire enemy team is going to turn around and look at you at that point. So you want to make sure your team actually has some ultimates and are in a position to do something while you're being this giant distraction in the backline. But yeah, if you don't feel like you can jump in, just don't jump in, because it's more important that you're alive. If you feel like you have to try and make something happen because you're running out of time, or it seems like your team is having trouble making something happen, so you feel like, oh, I've got to do something, try and play like flanker-esque and get behind them, because then somebody kind of has to acknowledge you. One or two people are going to have to be paying attention to you, and that's drawing attention away from the front line, giving them more of an opportunity to do something. You're not really playing like a flanker, because you're not like Tracer and you're going to blink up to the back line and suddenly like stick the Mercy, right? You're just sort of hanging around in the back line, near the back, like behind them to the side, like, oh, I'm over here. So you kind of have to pay attention to me because you don't know if I'm going to try something. And that's just like distraction. Another thing, if there are people on the high ground, like on Numbani or Dorado, you just jump on them, because they are usually going to be by themselves. Most of the team is probably going to be on the low ground. Like, if you're attacking Numbani, there's always going to be, like, a soldier or something over on, like, that balcony. So it's only, like, one or two people usually, so that shouldn't really be an issue. But if a backline person is on the high ground, that person's your highest priority, because only a certain number of heroes can get to high ground quickly. So that's really your number one priority, is fighting people on the high ground if they are up there. So hopefully that answers your question. If it doesn't, let me know. I'll try to expand further. So let's start the game. So we're defending Numbani right now. We are the odd man out in the game, by the way, because the rest of our team are a 5-stack. So that's always fun. Surprisingly enough, we at no point get e-bullied because of it, which is incredibly surprising. Though maybe I'm just pessimistic. So they decide to walk right underneath us. Reaper's used his Wraith form right there, which isn't a very good use of company resources, really. Because now his only escape has been used for basically no reason. So Zenyatta's off by himself. We kind of jump past him a little bit, which is unfortunate because he starts coming down the staircase again right as we leap. But we don't really need to put the bubble on him right there, because Zenyatta by himself, not super spooky. And we do indeed just end up leaving the bubble behind, and now it's just kind of nowhere helpful. If the Reaper was going to come over and help the Zenyatta, then yeah, you'd want to use the bubble, but he was just leaving because he was like, oh fuck, probably shouldn't have done that, So anyway, Zenyatta's dead, Winston's dead, so this push basically is dead because we're all still alive. Reaper running away over here, low HP. We know he's picked up the large health kit, so we're hesitant to go in, and we're trying to get somebody to come over here and help us. We've put the bubble down kind of like as protection as we're coming in, but we've left it a little too far up the staircase, so we're actually going to end up leaving it behind to come here and fight the Reaper. Reaper right now is just behind there, like, not in my lobby, Winston. But we have come in here anyway. So now, that's very spooky. We didn't have our bubble to protect us, and what happened right there is we've accidentally deselected the window, which is rather inopportune timing. Don't do that, basically. So yeah, but we left the bubble behind in kind of an unfortunate position again, which is, not really ideal. Probably wouldn't have really made that much difference, with that particular fight, but I mean, you don't want to do it, So, coming back over here, we can see a team fight's happening in the lobby still, and we look over there and we see Hanzo, and we just put our bubble down immediately. We probably don't need to put the bubble down right there, because he's only shooting at us, and he's pretty unlikely he's going to kill us unless he throws his skill really nicely at our feet. So, what I would do right here is you look over there, and you see Hanzo, and you see Mercy is tethered to Hanzo. But we know that a team fight is happening in the lobby right now, because we can see our entire team posturing around it. And we can see, like, their Winston Tesla cannon coming out of it and stuff like that. So we know there's a team fight happening in there. So that Hanzo and Mercy are most likely by themselves. So you can jump over there, and because you did have your bubble up, you could have just jumped over there with your bubble, started fighting them, and you have to try and kill the Mercy, because you can't kill somebody through Mercy's healing beam as Winston. And you can probably kill them. At the very least, you shouldn't die unless Hanzo throws his skill at your feet and manages to completely just, like, fuck you with it, which, I mean, is always the risk when you're playing against Hanzo anyway, honestly. So I would have jumped over there and started fighting them, because they're probably alone. And right now, they're looking to just sort of pick somebody off on the backline while our team is, looking into the lobby at the actual team fight, so they're just looking to, like, pick somebody off on the back line. I'd go fight them. So, team fight's still happening in there. We just lost our Zarya, which is not exactly good. We've noticed Hanzo's going up onto the high ground, so we come over here and we start firing at the Hanzo. Hanzo did indeed try to throw his skill at our feet right there, because we can see, he's looking at the ground really intensely as we come around the corner, but we jump over it like the nimble monkey that we are. So, we see in the kill feed, though, we saw Zarya die in the lobby, and Hanzo has managed to pick off the Reaper. I'm just saying, if we went on the Hanzo earlier, maybe that part doesn't happen, you know. So, we're missing 2 people right now, which is really bad, and we don't actually have any ultimates built up just yet. So, things are not going well. We're bullying around the Hanzo, he's got Discord on, and we follow him down. In the kill feed now, we see the Mercy's died, so half our team is dead. We're gonna, like, lose this point, barring divine intervention, basically. So, we're fighting the Hanzo. The bubble is at a slightly unfortunate location, because he can actually stand in it out of cover and still hit us as we're coming in. If it was a little bit more out in the street, we'd actually be able to, like, advance in, because he can just kind of be in it still. But, I mean, so, you know, good idea, because there is the risk that Hanzo just kills you if he headshots you enough times, but it's in, you know, a slightly unfortunate location. So we jump back over here. Zenyatta dies just as we arrive as well, so this point's well and truly fucked. Zenyatta died as we arrived, but 3 people were already dead by the time we jumped over there, so, you know, pretty fucked. Could have jumped up on the high ground to try and run away, or just... If you don't think you can get away, just jumping on the point to die faster is also valid, but we didn't know that, most of our team was dead, really. So we've just lost Mercy at a really inconvenient time. The point's just changed over. She's our main healer, and we're on Nambani's second point right now. So she has to spend 1 billion years walking back to us. Quite literally 1 billion years, in fact. She's still walking back to this very day. We do have Primal Rage. So we see the 2 healers right there, and we give up on them to come in here and fight these 2 DPS instead. Coming in here to fight these 2 DPS is the correct decision if you think these DPS are actually threatening your team right now, but they aren't because Reaper's the only one in here and he just Wraith forms away. So, if you think these 2 people are actually gonna do something, coming in here to help your team is the correct play, but they're not actually doing anything in there, so we could have just walked over onto those 2 supports and started killing them instead, because it's just Mercy and Zenyatta. What are they really gonna do? And we've got Primal Rage as well. So, we're coming back in over here now. We've gotten... That's very scary. Oh, he's just using High Noon right in front of us. We decide we're just gonna use Primal Rage, which is definitely the bold play to make right there, because we could just duck out of the way. We go back a little further, because that wasn't quite far back enough. And if YouTube were to cooperate. Because we put it down, we could actually just, like, walk into the doorway on the side. But we decide we're going to try and bump him off. He already uses High Noon before we get there, but he falls off the edge anyway, so we did still kill him. So there Winston's back here. There Winston is now also using Primal Rage. We got fucked up doing that because we got hit by High Noon because the bubble popped and we were discorded and then Reaper was there. Oh, it was just very unfortunate where we did actually lose a lot of HP despite being in Primal Rage, which always does feel bad. If we knew that this Mercy was coming, you do want to just go in and die because that's a 500 HP heal. But it doesn't look like we knew Mercy was coming. If you know Mercy is coming, just like go into these people and die. But if you don't know Mercy's coming, well, you don't really want to just go in and die. We are jumping in, at an inopportune time right now, because we aren't very healthy right now. We're at, like, just over half HP. And we don't have our bubble, so we actually managed to get away with it, because, and we're going back in again. We got away with it because Zarya bubbled us, but, we don't have our bubble, so we can't go in and fight those people. And we were low HP as well at the time. And then, we start getting healed. We start going right back in again. Just back out and wait to get healed up, because you're going back in again at half HP, and Hanzo can, like, kill you pretty quickly at, like, half HP. Even without his skill. So just, like, back out and wait to get healed. Because, like, you can't do, like, the 2 supports were also mostly by themselves, but you couldn't really go on them right there either, because you just didn't have enough HP to be making plays right there, so you needed to wait to get healed, then go in and start making plays once your bubble was up again. Yeah, you know. Health is pretty important for playing a tank, so do we change to D.Va right here? We're gonna come back in and change. Because we do have a Reaper, which is making things slightly difficult for us, but I don't think you have to change just because the enemy team has a Reaper. Most people are gonna be like, oh, you have a Reaper, so you've gotta change now, Winston. The thing is, it's just because they are playing your counter doesn't mean they are actually countering you. Like, I don't feel like the Reaper is actually doing that much to stop us making plays, really. I feel like it's just like we've made some poor decisions on jumping in more than the Reaper. So I don't think you have to change just because they have a Reaper, but that is probably what prompts the change. Don't do that because, no way. There's just no way. Do we change to D.Va here? We change to D.Va here. Okay. It's probably because they have a Reaper. I mean, it's not like the wrong decision or anything like that. It's just like, I don't think like you have to change just because they have a Reaper. So, that's happening. We don't get over here in time to start blocking it, which is unfortunate. Now 2 people are dead. Our Reaper is attempting to do the same thing. He's only killed their Mercy, and now he's died because Hanzo threw his skill at him. But we've killed their Reaper, so it's roughly even right now. This is unfortunate because we don't actually have any ultimates to throw in on top of that Graviton. Very scary to walk forward is Zero Suit Samus right there, because, you know, it's generally pretty scary to walk forward when you're Zero Suit, but we didn't get killed for it, so we didn't get punished, so we don't have to learn anything. But we are standing, like, pretty close. Pretty scary to stand this far up when you're only Baby D.Va. And then we walk in on the Hanzo, and he does in fact just shoot us in the skull. Just stand, like, further back. You're a long-range DPS when you've got no suit. So this is very scary, because we've gotten rezzed in front of the enemy team. If you've been rezzed in this kind of position, which is very scary, because Reaper's looking, like, directly at us and stuff, look at him while you're doing this, because the mech can act as your shield, whereas right there he can shoot you as you're getting in your mech. Fortunately, he doesn't actually decide to kill you, but if you're rezzed in a scary position, look at the person that's threatening you, because then the mech can actually shield your body. And, like, maybe you lose your mech, but that's better than losing your life, generally speaking, you know. So, half our team's dead again right now. I didn't actually have any ultimates to swing this back around with after the res, so it's not really been doing that much work for us, and now we're Zero Suit again, so we've got to stand all the way back here. Just sort of shooting in at people. I mean, you know, fair enough. That's what you do. We decide to run the not safe way, because we've actually decided to run the longest way to get past the wolves, but, you know, probably doesn't actually make much difference in this fight, really, looking at it. At least we got a mech quicker. Not really, but... So, like, we're fucked. We've been fucked for a while. It's just been taking a very long time to get to this point. Basically, as soon as Zarya used the Graviton, and we didn't have anything to combo it with, that was kind of our last out. Zarya would have been better off, like, holding her ultimate to combo it with Hanzo, or Reaper just used his ult, so, like, comboing it with Hanzo when he built up his ultimate, because Hanzo's ult builds fairly quickly. So, and then Mercy rezzed us, but we didn't have any ultimates to use to actually, like, get the advantage back, so I lied to you. It's not really a third of the matches. It's gonna be more like a quarter or a fifth. I lied to you a little bit, you know, whatever. So, we were losing, basically that fight was lost for a really long time, and there wasn't that much we could do to stop it, unless we were gonna, like, make some unbelievable god clutch, like, kill 3 people play suddenly. It's just how it is. They had the advantage, and we didn't have any ultimates to stop their advantage, so... Or Mercy could have saved her ult as well, because we still had time to fight again, and then maybe we would have had more ultimates to swing it back around with. Basically, like, things that were out of our control, I think, were the main contributors to us losing that fight, so... Yeah. Don't jump in on the point when it's lost like that, though, yeah. So, Hanzo threw his skill over, didn't kill anybody. We have decided that we're gonna go, because we've been talking about this between the rounds as well, by the way, we've decided that we're gonna go around the very far left side, which is fair enough. I like to go underneath, personally, because you usually, just slide past any cheese that's happening on the upper floor, which is fairly common. And you just kinda get onto the point and, like, scare people into jumping off of the high ground sometimes. So we're all coming around now, we're all gonna group up, we're all gonna jump in, and we're up here. We put the bubble down like a little early because it didn't end up actually covering us very much, and we ended up taking a big chunk of damage as we landed in, and we've had to just immediately back out. We also could have communicated with Zarya that if she could bubble us as we jump up there, you know, a couple things. So, Zarya is discorded, so we're trying to focus down the Zarya. Not your area, really, even if the person is discorded. I would be more concerned with trying to get to the people that are on the high ground, or the Hanzo, or something like that. You can let the more qualified teammates deal with the tank, and you can try to get to, like, the Zenyatta who's up on the high ground, or you can try and find the Mercy went up to him as well. So they were pretty by themselves. They would jump off of the high ground, most likely, but getting them off of the high ground is already a start. Whereas focusing Zarya, not really your area. So, we got wiped right there, you know. It just not the best initiation, really. Us immediately having to back out at low HP really killed the tempo, and then we had to start walking in through the channel on the left-hand side. That's also why I don't really like going around the far left-hand side. There's the possibility you get booped off of the edge, and that just, well, really sucks. And then you have to funnel through the narrow alleyway as well, which also really sucks. And they usually see you coming, so they usually have time to actually stop that happening. So Hanzo's up there. We want to put a stop to that as quickly as possible, so we jump up here. We put the bubble down in kind of an inconvenient, oh fucking hell. So, we put it like on the far end of the balcony, right as we've landed, but he's actually fairly far away from us right now, so we end up just having to immediately leave it behind, and we can see that that's like right in front of our face, so that's very scary. You can't really, like, walk into him without putting the bubble down. So really you want to try and angle your jump so that you go a little bit more across the air, like, kind of like here-ish. Because then you're more on top of him, and the bubble will be more helpful for a longer period of time. So, but you have to put it down because of where you land. You can't just walk at him. But then Zarya bubbles us as we're walking in. And now it's a little scary to walk around the corner because they're all looking at us. We've got Discord on us. Our bubble's back here. So we end up just sort of having to give it up. Which, I mean, yeah, you know. So we've jumped up. Oh, we've slipped around the back end. But they just collapsed back on us again. And we didn't really land near anybody, but everybody saw us. So we just sort of had to put the bubble down, and it wasn't in a very convenient location again. That seems like you just sort of jumped up without really having a plan for it, so you just sort of land up there and you're like, oh god, now what am I gonna do? You usually want to kind of have it planned out a little bit more. So we've landed on McCree. We got to kill McCree with the help of, Farah. So I wouldn't put my bubble down, like, right here, because we don't really see very much. And here's the thing. We want to go and fight the people that are up on the high ground right now. So, you can just hide behind the payload for, like, a second to wait for your jump to come off cooldown, and then you can jump up onto the Zenyatta, who is on the high ground behind you, and start fighting him. Because the bubble on the point here isn't really doing very much, and even less after Zenyatta comes in with the Transcendence as well. So, didn't need to put it down there, could have saved it, oh god. Yep, oh, professionalism. We got a loose cable over there. So, we misaligned the jump afterwards as well, which sucks, but our bubble just, like, didn't really do anything. We also, like, want to find Hanzo, so we would want to use it to kill Hanzo as well, so didn't need to use it there. So we've used Primal Rage because we were low HP, and we are now attempting to slap people. Try not to slap D.Va, if at all possible, because it's going to take you about 3 years to actually disassemble her mech, because, I mean, you ever tried to get, like, screws out with just your hands? Like, it's pretty difficult, so wouldn't recommend that one. Just try and look for someone else to bully around. The Zarya is a better person to bully around, because you'll kill her quicker, and she has a more important ultimate than D.Va as well. Also, if you're in the way with Primal Rage, she can't ult properly because it will just stick to your forehead. And then she'll only get you, you know, that kind of thing. So, like, don't be the D.Va when you're in Primal Rage, go look for someone else. We've now found Zenyatta. We just beat him into the lobby, and then we just leave a terrible mess in the lobby that someone's gonna be unhappy about later. So, most of our team's dead right now. We have got to jump out because our team is dead. Unfortunate. Mercy died with res. Feels bad, man. What can you do? Possible we could have swung it if we were on, like, the Hanzo sooner, because he did kill a couple of people, but we also didn't know exactly where Hanzo was during that fight, so, you know. He did end up killing Farah, I think. He killed somebody with Scatter Arrow, which sucks. So, there's Hanzo. We got shot in the face. He's doing that right there. Oh god, that's happening over there. We're in the Graviton. Get fucked. Yeah, you're gonna get fucked, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, they used 3 ultimates to do that, though, so that's great news for us, because that's 3 ultimates that they no longer have, and we traded no ultimates in response, so gives us a big advantage in the ult economy. So, we are now the only tank. My headphones have fallen off, which is, you know, inconvenient, but whatever, I know what happens. And there's not much time left in this game, as you might have noticed. But I won't be hearing anything now. So, we are the only tank now. Cause Zarya has changed to Reaper. I don't really, know why. Because I'm wondering what that person plans to do as Reaper, because, like, how are they gonna get up to the high ground where everybody is standing? Cause you can't really just sort of teleport up there as Reaper, cause you'll get shot in the head and killed. And it's like, is he just gonna walk at the D.Va and the Zarya? That probably won't go very well either, so I don't really know what the plan is. I feel like most other DPS would be more helpful in this position, really. Or just staying on a tank, or if they change to D.Va, you know. I feel like changing to Reaper is one of the worst things they could have actually done, but whatever, they have decided to do it, so what can you do? So we jump up here, and we put our bubble down as the person we were coming up here to jump on is actually already left. Well, we see them leaving as we're jumping up, if YouTube would be so kind. We see that Hanzo has just jumped off the high ground right there. So we didn't need to put our bubble down because the person we were coming up here to fight is no longer here, so we could have actually just left instead. Now we're low HP, we jump down here, get that. Mercy was healing us, but she already has her ult, so we don't need to, like, worry about giving her the charge. We are standing around in the middle of the street with no cooldowns to work with. Well, we've got our leap, but we don't have our bubble. And we kind of have to look around and decide where we're going to go. Oh, by the time we decided, we're already really low HP. I would just wait in that room until your bubble is up, and then you can come out, immediately jump on someone, and start fighting them with the bubble. Instead, we stand in the street like, oh, what am I going to do? And then you're already dead by the time you make your decision. So, we've been rezzed. We're near the back line, which is very convenient for us. He just uses Transcendence. What can you do? We got it out of him, but, like, it's not really very helpful because this is the last fight we're gonna get, and we got to not do anything because of it. So we're coming back in now. We got our Transcendence. We got D.Va over here. We're gonna have to keep standing on the point, because if we don't stand on the point, we might end up, losing the game. But we really want to kill this Zenyatta. We don't quite feel like we can stay and hit the kill on him, because the point's happening over here. You know, so I don't think we killed him. Did we kill him? Did we kill him on, like, the last tick before we left? I don't think so. You know, in for a penny, in for a pound, you might as well finish that guy off before you come back over here, because he was just 1 tick away from death. Probably might have thought you were gonna kill him as you were turning around, but you might as well just kill that dude. So we're back over here now. Hanzo's just thrown his skill over here. He's actually behind us right now. And there's McCree. They're more concerning than Baby D.Va. So, like, when you see D.Va's mech, just go over here. Like, I just see D.Va's mech break, I go, great. I come over here, I ult, I just pin these guys in the room and start trying to kill them. We've got people on the point right now, so we don't have to stand on the point, and if Baby D.Va kills all the people that are standing on the point, you know, fuck, happens. So, I want to stay to make sure Zenyatta dies, because that would also slightly affect the way this goes, because, you know, here's Zenyatta. Then just go get those guys after D.Va's mech breaks. God damn it, professionalism. So, at this point, we've lost the fight, because it's just us here at this point. And, yeah. You know. So, I feel like this is one of those games where you probably don't win the game through, like, your own play, because I feel like too many issues were actually happening. And you know, I already said what I thought about losing on the defense. So I was like, I feel like they just used their ults badly. I don't feel like we made a difference in this round either. It just seemed like too many things really going wrong. I don't even really know where half of our team was during most of this game or what they were doing. And I'm like, yeah, you know, that feels bad. Get fucked. What are you gonna do? You know, held in the graviton and all that's happening. We could be like, you know, we could have played better, but I also don't feel like, it would have swung the game around. So, you know. So the biggest thing that stands out in this game is we just, you know, you got it in the email, like you put your bubble down in some very unfortunate locations and have to keep leaving them behind. And that ends up being like just meh sometimes, but at other points it was actually like fairly impactful that we left our bubble behind. So, yeah, just, like, use it when you land, because if you get blown up putting it before you put it down, the issue was probably when you decided to jump, not putting the bubble down too late, and you do need it to fight. If you're jumping up onto, like, that balcony Hanzo was on, you want to try and, like, get in the dude's path a little bit, so that you actually get to use the bubble for longer, because otherwise they just leave the bubble, right? Because that's what if a Winston jumps on you and he puts his bubble on you, just leave the bubble, because the Winston can't usually just follow you because they need the bubble, so you'll just sort of leave them behind, usually. So that's like the biggest thing that stands out. The other thing is we could be more decisive in when we are picking on people, because, like, you know, early on in the defense we could have jumped on the Hanzo and the Mercy and, you know, gotten on them a little sooner, and maybe that makes a difference because Hanzo did actually kill the Reaper, so maybe that makes a difference. We'll never know. Happened in an alternate universe. But we could be more decisive when we're jumping onto people. And when you're in the, like, I know it's hard to keep track of sometimes, like in that last fight, you know, it's hard to keep track of all the moving parts, but we could have, given up on Baby D.Va because Baby D.Va's not scary, and just started bullying around the Hanzo and the McCree, or jumped up and waited and started, bullying around the Zenyatta slightly earlier than that. You know, when we put the bubble on the point and then, got killed not long after. So, those are the biggest things that stood out to me in this game, so thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. Please let me know if I didn't answer your question in the email adequately. And I hope you found the video helpful.